gotta go. I'm going on a quest.
Hey, how are ya?
Hello, Canada.
You like the dunk tank?
Walk over glass. Hey, rep, kiss my
We messed up. Things got out of hand. Drake's is in bad shape.
Don't take my gold away.
You wearing your rubber boots tonight?
Hey friends, this is really two podcasts in one. The second half today is a conversation with the creator and star of the hit show Letterkenny, Jared Keeso. If you just tuned in to listen to that, it starts at about the 50-minute mark. But we have a ton of fun before that, so if you have time, listen to it all. Hit it, Lester!
This is JD's podcast. JD's Rubber Boot Podcast. He's gonna sit and relax and tell you all sorts of stories. He's gonna tell you all about life and sports, and probably will play some games. And if nothing else, you know we're gonna have a laugh. This is the podcast.
Thank you, Lester McLean. Episode 2 of the podcast. Lester already altering the words to the theme song. That's the quality you will bring every single week.
Thank you.
Lester McLean is back here again on guitar. Puffy, a breakout star from episode 1.
Been a huge week for me.
Your brand is massive.
My brand is big now.
Wow.
I did get people saying, I want more Puffy.
I want more Puffy.
I think there was a couple, yeah.
But
there was a couple there.
Could that have been one of your other accounts?
No. I don't have that kind of tech savvy to be able to make up accounts.
Also had people asking for more Christoph, who Christoph has to push a lot of buttons, so he didn't get to talk too much last week. So here, Christoph.
Hello.
There you go. We'll try to get more Christoph.
Beautiful.
We did okay, I think, for our first. We're Wiley podcast veterans now.
Yeah, we are number 3, James. Number 3. New York Times was ahead of us.
On
iTunes.
On iTunes.
Look at that.
And
that's worldwide, right?
Yeah, it's worldwide. And New York Times got the Donald Trump push. So
alternative facts.
Right. So we're essentially fighting Trump now.
Yeah, it's basically us.
Isn't everybody?
Trump news.
Right. Well, that's good. The only thing, I think, the biggest negative out of week 1 was that the graphic they put up was like my giant head, a picture from 8 years ago, and so when people went on the podcast and had to listen to it, they had to stare at my giant, goofy TV smile head.
Yeah, people were pretty negative about that,
and rightfully so. Because the thing is, look, we came up with this last second, so I asked graphics here at TSN CTV if we could get a graphic developed. And they're fantastic people at graphics, but they have, there's 3 guys trying to do about 8 networks, right?
I guarantee the answer is no. Yes.
What they said to me was, James, we'll get that, but we have some, I think the line I got back was, there are some greater programming priorities right now. And so to their credit, fair. They did a good buddy of mine, Twitter buddy, I've never even met him, but I Suck at Picking, at I Suck at Picking. He does all these hilarious, he's an Oilers fan.
Yeah, he's very good.
Yeah, he does all sorts of really funny graphics. So he put one up that I put on my Twitter page, but then our marketing people didn't think it was, appropriate for the actual podcast.
Hold on, there's marketing people.
There's people involved now, Puffy. The podcast is so big, there's a lot of people.
A lot of pressure.
We're already dealing with corporate.
A lot of cooks in the kitchen.
The kitchen.
But that's not going to stop us.
No, it's not. Now, James, I gotta say, we're all men here. I can say what I got to say. You're a good-looking guy. What's the problem with your face on a broadcast? I know. I think I'm with a little makeup in the right angle. I'm okay looking, but with like a giant head, not so much. I didn't
and
say
my side
fatty,
angle's
I'm just saying,
not flattering, don't you think?
You do have movie star good looks, but those are Ben Stiller movie star good looks.
I got no problem.
I used to be Ben Stiller.
Well, I guess the look I'm best known for is blue steel.
Then I get
Andy from The Office.
That's what I get all the time now. Is Ed Helms from The Office.
Do you watch the new 24?
Why is he? He's not in that.
No, but there's a guy who looks exactly like Andy from The Office, and his name is Andy.
Wow.
Just so you know, Akiko, one of our makeup artists.
Oh, I know Kiko.
He looks exactly like and kind of acts like the character in The Incredibles, who's the fashion designer.
Okay. I haven't seen The Incredibles.
Yeah, well, with your kids, you should see The Incredibles. But she says every time she sits down with me, she says, she's Japanese, I think, and I don't want to do a Japanese accent, but she tells me I look like Kevin Costner.
Oh.
Which I don't remotely, but
maybe from Dancing
that's
with
why
Wolves.
I love her. She also tries to put the.
I was going to say the Untouchables, but whatever.
Tries to put eyebrow stuff on me. You know, like sometimes some makeup artists fill in your eyebrows. I don't have big eyebrows anymore. And every time she does it, she says in the most seductive way, "Eyebrows make the man."
Really?
Yes.
Eyebrows make the man.
Look at
you
this.
look like Kevin Costner. Eyebrows make the man.
Do you request her now for makeup only?
No, she's wonderful. She puts a little. She kind of, you know. Sometimes you walk out of there looking a little bit like the wax museum people, and then others don't put. I just ask for like a little bit of powder. Bobby's like the rebel. He doesn't even put anything on.
Yeah, he
Bobby's
gets a
like,
little powder.
He
That's
doesn't
it.
care. Speaking of which, Bobby. He was talking a lot about our podcast on. I think he's rattled because he's done the Bobcast, which has been a big success. But on the podcast, he was very complimentary to us, which we
nice.
love Bob. But also there was a little bit like I think there's a budding rivalry going. Here was Bob on the radio.
Duffy, though, like he's got production value, he's got music, he's got guests, he's like all over the place with this thing, trying to make me look bad.
Yeah, the Dogcast is coming out on Sunday night.
That was Jeff O'Neill promising to do his own podcast. So I don't know, should we wage into a podcast rivalry with Bob?
I don't think that's a good idea.
I think it's a dangerous
I think
game.
it's a very
The last
dangerous
time that two legends of the game got into it and there was a Puff Daddy involved, it did not end well for the participants. It went south in a hurry.
I know. And Bob's got the Irish in him. And as much as he loves us, like Bob's one of my best friends and he'd do anything for you. But if you tried to cut his podcast grass,
Look out.
because we could start a segment, like we could try and, you know, ruin his reputation in order to build our podcast numbers. Like we could start a segment called Lies About Bob.
Wow.
Can you do a little,
lies?
See, that
lies about Bob.
you know,
Lies.
you could say like Bob's only two real sources are like two guys down at the Legion or something like that. But it's probably not a good idea.
I think it could go dark in a
So
hurry.
we'll play nice.
He made it up.
I don't know if that's the best thing around Trade
Bob
Center.
lies. There's a song in the movie Say Anything, one of the great movies. You remember Say Anything?
Is that the one when he holds,
He holds up the ghetto
yeah.
blaster, but there's at a party earlier on, there's the girl's broken up with the guy, and I can't remember what the guy's name is, but she's like, I wish I knew the character. She sings a song that I'll have Lester look up that we could change and put Bob. It's like, whatever the guy's name is, Daryl lies! Daryl lies! And she's singing this at the party right to him while he's with some other girl.
Nice.
No, then he's with some other girl, and she's like, that'll never be me! That'll never be me! Anyway, so Bob was talking about the podcast. The Bobcast, by the way, is a wonderful podcast, which you should always listen to. We don't want to mess with the Bob father.
No.
O-Dog had some different questions, Jeff O'Neill, about the podcast.
Why are you doing the podcast? Do you get money from it? Because we want to do one.
Well,
I'm being dead serious. Like,
No, there is.
You're getting money.
No, I'm not getting anything right now.
you're getting money.
I'm
because
not getting
you're busy
anything.
enough. You wouldn't do something like this for fun.
He's not. That was on radio. He's not entirely wrong. We are not getting. I think you guys would all. We're not getting any money for this podcast. There is apparently money in the. I'm learning in the podcasting business, and if you stay up, challenging the New York Times on iTunes,
That's a lot of.
we'll be like making it rain in here in this little tiny booth we're in all the time. But you do, I guess you can get sponsors. We would love to get sponsors for the podcast. I think the people up in TSN Marketing are pursuing that right now. There's some big deals pondering.
Are they doing meetings today?
Yeah. But I would like personally just to get different sponsors for every little segment we do. Like Puffy's Hypotheticals should have its own, so you can just rake in money just off of that.
But would I get all the money for that particular segment?
No,
or is that-
you'd get 10% and I'd get 90%.
That seems. Those numbers seem skewed.
You know the drill. Buddy.
I do know the drill.
You've been around long enough.
Yeah, it's true.
No, you get a large chunk of that.
Wow, that's
the thing that we'd
huge.
have to do together is keep TSN out of the money. That's where the big chunk.
I think that's going to be pretty much impossible.
Well, if they don't listen, if nobody upstairs listens to this, and then we can sort of do a run around them, circumvent them, then we can keep all the money.
So we could do our own deals.
Yeah, it'll be cash deals, like when guys show up in the Tim Hortons with little bags of money.
Or the KHL.
And they just subtly get mentioned every week.
Yeah, we need to get you a Russian sponsor. That's what it should be.
That'd be perfect.
But with Puffy's Hypotheticals, it could be something. I don't know. It would be something big, like maybe a mutual fund company or like RBC. decisions about your life. Puffy's hypotheticals.
I can see them wanting to put their brand behind my brand.
Yeah.
I think that would...
Puffy's hypotheticals, by the way, is a segment on the show which we'll get to a little bit later on. Lester should get some sort of something big, like Apple Music or something.
That'd be
should
great.
sponsor you, right?
Yeah, that's right.
SoundCloud.
Yeah.
Right?
SoundCloud would be very good.
SoundCloud would be very good, actually.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I should make a call right now. No, I'm just kidding. I won't do that.
So
I wouldn't even know who to call.
sponsors can contact, I guess. We need some sort of way. I guess they could just write my Twitter handle right now.
Your Twitter's
at
probably
TSN
our best.
James Duffy.
Yes.
The probably the most popular podcast right now, next to the New York Times in the world. Puffy, you confirmed it is in the world,
Yes, it's
right?
definitely in the world.
Globally.
It's
It
definitely
wasn't the
global.
Canadian list. It was definitely.
It definitely
global.
could have. Well, I didn't look at that. It could have been. Yeah, it could have been list.
So sponsors, come on board, and we'll all get rich together. We could also sponsor this segment. One of the things I wanted to do I guess there's podcast recaps. People sometimes do it off the top of the podcast, but I wanted to have a TSN feel to it. And so I thought we would do a highlight pack at the start of every podcast to recap last week's podcast. And if I want a highlight pack done of my life, say at my funeral, there is only one man to voice that highlight pack, and that is the franchise, Rod Smith. And here's his recap of week 1 of the podcast.
Let's get to the action from episode 1 of James Duthie's Rubber Boots podcast. Controversy early on as Puffy reveals he prefers baths over showers.
I'm in the bath. I'm a bath guy.
Do you take baths?
Several times a week.
Nice.
But Duthie responds with his own creepy confession.
Stop if it gets creepy, but when my kids were like 1.5 and 3 and 4, we had this thing called Daddy Bath. So
It's got creepy already.
Meanwhile, Lester continues to push his own agenda.
While you're dialing that up, James, I just wanted to say Happy Black History Month to everybody here. I hope you're having a good month.
Early in the second half, Roberto Luongo with a shocking revelation that he was frightened of women.
I was shy. I mean, I didn't talk to a girl for the first time until I was like 17 years old.
But he turns in a dominating performance, telling stories about his bowel problems on game days.
Yeah, no, I'm all over the baby wipes.
Do you actually carry some with you?
I do. I have they're called, this is hardcore podcasting right here. They're called Preparation Age Wipes.
That's your update. I'm Rod Smith. Now back to 5-pin bowling with Vic Ratter.
So there you go. There you go.
Impressive.
I mean, already our podcast feels more professional this week with Rod Smith in it. Do you not think?
Absolutely.
I think Dutchie's going to be ticked, though, that you didn't ask him to do
Well,
it.
no, here's the thing. We're right now I should take a picture and tweet it out. We are in this tiny little closet of a room next to the TSN radio studios in Toronto. And they are building a giant kind of room. I think only because of my podcast.
Really?
Yes.
Because of yours?
Makes sense to me.
Probably because of Bob's. Bob will be
Either
in
that
there
or-
alone.
either
in this
your giant
3,000
head.
square. Yeah, you have to fit in the giant head. But they're building a room where you have 6 mics and everything, and that's when we can get guys like Rod and Dutchie as well on the podcast.
Wow, they're going to love doing that live.
Right.
It's a big break for them.
Yeah. And but for now, it's just us 4 chumps in here until we get that built. So recapping, let's look at the recap that Rod did so well for us. The Puffy bath was a very controversial issue. How Puffy declared that he bathes all the time.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Can I just say something with regard to that?
Yes.
I've never had more respect for another man
Wow.
than I did for this man Puffy right here, because that is a huge. Can I say the word balls?
Yeah, of course you can say anything.
That's a ballsy move. You know, I don't know. You know,
But that's what this should be about. I want this to be a safe place for the 4 of us where we can confess all sorts of things.
Well, listen, you people, you're not seeing
You
the look
people. Don't give me that you people line.
Listeners out there, you're not seeing the look of sincerity in James's eyes right now. I have a little tear in mine, to be honest with you.
Well,
I just, this is.
It threw me off. It threw you off a little bit when Puffy made that confession.
I was like this. Well, you can't see my face, but I was shocked.
So I put it out on a Twitter poll. This is how much I care about you, Puff. This was the first Twitter poll I'd ever done.
Wow.
I said, question from our boy Puff, is it okay for grown-ass men to take baths? And the people have spoken, and Puff has won. 57% say yes, 43% say no.
Yeah, like if that's an election, that's a landslide win.
It is, but at the same time, that means if you're at a party with 10 people, 4.3 of them think you're not manly.
Not manly.
The other thing is, if you read the comment section after the poll, there's a lot of people who said, it seems like they said yes, but only, after a sporting event, like an ice bath or a hot bath, whereas you do it all the time.
Yeah, but I mean, I do it as a soak. As somebody pointed out, it's a soak.
Okay.
Like, I'm not in there cleaning myself.
And you do shower after.
I shower
so it's not
after,
your prime
yes,
method of cleaning.
It's just more for relaxation and thinking.
Anyway,
but I was surprised that many people were supportive. I thought I was going to just get completely hammered by the 6 people that were listening.
Listen, this is a new era.
Yeah.
This is a new era.
But I knew the turning point for me was when you asked Darren Dreger if he was okay with it, and he was.
Yeah, and he is as Saskatchewan as it gets.
Yeah, he brushes his teeth with wood chips. he's a man.
Okay, so that was a big part of the podcast. And another moment last week where Roberto Luongo also made a confession that he had a lot of trouble with girls when he was young. Shocking. And didn't talk to one till he was 17. But I think we can all relate to that, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, Lester!
Lester,
if you don't know
plays
Lester,
a guitar.
Lester plays guitar. He's a really good-looking guy, so you never had problems, right?
Not true at all. Not true at all. I was. Okay, I'll tell you a quick story. The first girl that I would have called my girlfriend, or at least wanted to be my girlfriend. This is grade 11, and we said, okay, we'll go out. We're going around, and then she's like, but you haven't kissed me yet. I'm like. No, I haven't. So I'll never forget this. This was high school, middle of the hallway, and I just went up to her. I gave her a peck on the mouth, and I almost ran away. It was crazy. I'm not making this up.
You said grade 7, right?
This is grade 11. This is grade 11. I'm older. Listen.
That's your first kiss, grade 11.
You said, yeah. Wow. Well, you know what? I'll say this. I've made up for it. but in all seriousness, I was working on playing the sax and being a musician at the time.
Christoph, any embarrassing first kiss stories?
Not particularly, but mine was probably around that same age.
Oh, thank you, brother. Yeah. Thank you. I put myself out there.
See, I think Puffy was like third base, grade 5 kind of guy.
No, I remember like grade 1.
Grade 1?
Doing a lot of doctor and kissing.
Well, that doesn't count.
Yeah,
We're talking. When you got to be aware of.
I know I was
things.
definitely aware. I was enjoying it.
I'll tell you only because Lester confessed that I got one that's really embarrassing. I almost had this is what we're here for, right? So the first kind of I think grade 7 was I went to this party at a girl named Cheryl. I won't use her last name because she's probably a mom now with kids. And it was like a party in the basement, and I can remember this. I had white turtleneck and white jeans on. Wow. Because
I think I'd pay like $300 for that picture.
1982 or whatever it was.
Post Bee Gees.
Yeah, wide leg, white jeans, and a white turtleneck. So they're playing Spin the Bottle in the basement, and I've never kissed a girl.
Okay.
And Cheryl was, for whatever reason, was blind, and if you saw pictures of me back then, really blind. And so she liked me, and she actually kept spinning the bottle till it got to me. I liked this other girl named Allison White, but she was with my buddy Mike Ross, now with Hockey Canada. Long story. So Cheryl says, do you want to go in like the furnace room? So it was a variation of Spin the Bottle called like 3 Minutes in Heaven. So we go into the furnace room, and she says, let's neck. And I was so inexperienced, I didn't really even know what that meant. And so I thought, okay, let's neck. So I grabbed her and just started assaulting her neck.
With your mouth?
With my mouth.
Okay. At least it was your mouth.
Just all over her neck, every side of her neck, never touching her face. And I could feel her body freeze up, and she just stood there rigidly. And this was a girl who had been after me, I think, for a few months.
Yeah.
So the couple minutes ended, and I felt really good about myself. I thought
you strutted out of there in that turtleneck.
And I walked out, and so that was the end of that. So the Monday, that was like a Saturday afternoon or something. So Monday at school, I'm leaving school with my Adidas bag over my shoulder. That was the look.
Adidas bag. Oh, man.
And these 2 other girls from the class are walking behind me. And this moment is etched in my memory forever. They're giggling. And it was a girl named Heather, and I can't remember who the other one was. And I sort of turn around and say, what's up? And they said, oh, we just talked to Cheryl today. And I said, oh, yeah? What did she say? And Heather goes, she just talked about how good you were, right? And so I'm like, oh, awesome. So I turn around and keep walking, and they start giggling some more. And I hear Heather say, actually the opposite. And you know that part in The Simpsons when Lisa breaks Ralph's heart, and you see the heart just breaking?
Watch this, Lise. You can actually pinpoint the second when his heart rips in half. And now.
That was the moment of my life where I was just absolutely destroyed.
Like, you must hate those two girls.
Well, no, like
they.
Oh, you mean those girls behind me? Yeah, they did ruin me.
That would.
Oh, but come on, think about it.
That would break confidence for years.
But wouldn't think about it this way though. Look at what you've achieved now as a broadcaster, right?
I thought you were going to say
all to put it in their face. This is all just
aren't
your
those
whole life.
But aren't those the things as a young man that you know? Listen,
yeah,
people say to me, you know, you play, you like you just said, I play the sax, I sing, I play guitar, you know. Right. You know, it must be like you must be beating off the chicks, but that's not why I got into it. I got it because I just love playing music.
No, I actually got into it just for that reason, the sportscasting.
Just for the
chicks that no girls actually watch.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you. So don't you feel like in some way that hardship, that really early sort of rejection, sort of made you work harder at what you're doing now?
I don't know. I just think it made me a loser.
I'm being no, I don't think so. I think I'm being dead serious. I think those are the
Did you ever wear that outfit again?
Well, I'll say this. I now I'm giving away too much, but as long as I don't say her last name, she moved away. Like, she had no interest in me after that day. That, like, I crushed it, killed any interest she had in me. But she came back for a visit, like, after grade 10. And we went to my house after school. My mom's listening to this podcast, so this is really awkward. But she said, by the way, last week it was too racy for her.
No one cursed.
The whole thing was a little too racy. But actually, she's in Hawaii this week, so she probably won't listen. But she came over and we made out in my basement, and I like necked properly.
Yeah.
Well, hold on a second.
That's what I'm talking about.
She came, same girl.
So the girl that you.
The girl that was like turned off by my necking in grade 7 came back
for
in grade 10.
1 day.
She came and visited everyone at my high school, and I said, "You want to come over after school?" And that was my redemption moment.
Good for you, man.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking
an unbelievable wheel job.
Yeah,
that's
and
coming
then she
back.
wrote me a letter like a few years later, like after maybe she was married or something, asking how I was and everything. So I was still on her mind.
I think you're still on her mind.
No, I don't think so. Anyway, that's a hard one to recover from because it was only grade 7. We're all right. Any other updates? Let's see from the podcast. Oh, here's a good one I got on Twitter. The Rubber Boots guy. If you don't know why it's called the Rubber Boots podcast, you have to listen to episode 1. But some guy tweeted me and said that the Rubber Boots guy had been calling into the Shaw call center, which is nationwide, for years. And there's a whole book about reports from the operators about this guy asking if hey, you wearing your boots? And it's documented. And I asked what was this guy said he worked for the call center around 2013. And Derek Burns was the guy who tweeted me. And I said, my Rubber Boots guy was back in like 96 or something. So is it the same guy? And maybe potentially he is still out there.
Wow.
Well, the only thing is somebody could have because your story would have been out there before 2013.
Oh, that's
right?
fun. You think somebody
could have.
But there's apparently pages of documentation like this guy called if you were going to be a copycat, you wouldn't call 100 times.
Yeah, you probably do it once.
So
yeah.
Anyway,
hopefully it's him.
Interesting.
That'd be
that
great.
would be fantastic.
Wouldn't be something if he contacted us eventually, you know?
Wow, that would be the greatest guest in the Rubber Boots podcast history. That would be the pinnacle.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't do anything.
That's how we'd pass the New York Times and get to number 1.
That's
if the Rubber
right.
Boots guy actually
Absolutely.
The guest today is Jared Keeso, by the way, in the second half of the podcast, who created Letterkenny and is excellent on it. He's the lead role in Wayne. You might know him. He played Don Cherry in those 2 TV movies as well. So we'll get to Jared in a little bit. Other stuff. Yesterday, my favorite part of last night was hearing Alex Trebek do a segment, an entire category on Jeopardy, rapping.
Started from the bottom, now the whole team here. Buy a chopper and have a doctor on speed dial, I guess. Mad City. 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot bunch. Young Money Militia, and I am the commissioner. You don't want to start wheezy because the F is for finisher. Panda, 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 panda.
That's my favorite.
Panda.
Trebek can somehow pull that off, though, right? He's a legend.
Yeah, he is.
Kind of.
He can do whatever he wants now. He's at that point of his
You know what
career.
that reminds me of? This is years ago on SNL when Will Ferrell did Robert Goulet and he was doing the rap.
Right.
That same type of thing.
Did you do any of you? Well, like Lester's a musician, so it's not a fair question. But can you guys do any Are there embarrassing rap songs that you could do, from your youth that you remember at all? Christoph?
An embarrassing one?
Well, can you do any rap songs from your youth?
I could probably do. I will mess up the words.
Well, I'll try it.
Okay.
What is it?
Let's go. I guess Dr. Dre's "Nothing But a G Thing" was how'd that go?
How's a groove go? Is it just like?
1, 2, 3 into the 4. Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre's at your door, ready to make an entrance. So back on up.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I liked it.
Puffy, you told me you were not.
No, I'm not. I don't have any musical skill or rapping ability. I like to sing along in the car, but
Lester can do all sorts of different types of music. Did you do rap anywhere in your rap? You did do the rap, by the way, for...
I did the rap for...
Don't Take My Goal Away.
Don't Take My Goal Away, yes. And that's actually my first foray into... Actually, no, I wrote a song a while ago for a band I was in called The Color of Soul that was... oh my God, how does it go? You got the color of your skin, the color of your hair, the color of your eyes, and the clothes you wear. You got the color of night, the color of day, the color of sitting by the dock of the bay, the colors of a flag, the colors of a rag, the colors of Benetton, and so on. Wow. But then this spell that spins around, I'll tell you what I found. But it's
Do you
funny.
Write that?
I wrote that.
The best line you did in the rap from "Don't Take My Goal Away," you said, "Are we tied? Or are we beaten? I feel like Anson waiting versus Sweden." That was my favorite line.
That was good. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's an iconic moment in World Hockey Championship
I had
history.
to shout it. But you think about it. That's one of the that time, the way that delay
was unbelievable.
It must have been like 5-6 minutes, something like that.
And they had to blow it up to get it right.
But they got it right, though.
And I always feel for guys. Dave Randorf called that game, and that, as a play-by-play guy, is a nightmare because you're trying to do that call. They're going to play over and over again for years, but you don't know if the puck's in. So you're like, and Canada wins. But Rambo nailed it, which is a challenge because there was about a 15-minute review.
Absolutely.
So I got a history of bad rap, and I won't do it all for you, but back in university, when I was taking journalism at Carleton, we did newscasts, and I did the weather one day and decided to do a rap weather, which was so lame. That was at the time when rap was already lame when you tried to do stuff like that. I remember in Cheers when Sam tried to do the rap sportscast.
That was very good.
That was about the era of me doing the rap weather.
Oh my gosh.
But it sticks in your mind forever. It's cloudy right now, might rain tonight. Moderate winds till the morning light. Tomorrow gonna be much the same, a cloudy and cool. Less chance of rain. So that's how that went. But
did you get an A?
And now
I got an A+. And actually, that was the moment, I think, where I said to myself, if you can get an A+ doing that, this is the business for me, because it was so stupid. But I was always, I'll admit this, I wasn't into the heavy, like, NWA rap. I was always into the popish kind of rap.
Will Smith, he raps happy?
Yeah, like Young MC was my guy.
Young MC?
I went to see a Young MC concert.
Just
Where?
Bust a Move.
Where would you have seen him?
I didn't love Bust a Move. I saw him at the Ottawa Civic Centre opening for Milli Vanilli.
Wow.
I got free tickets for that concert. I didn't stay for all of Milli Vanilli.
You didn't pay for them. That's good.
And actually, I not to say that I knew this in advance, but I was with my buddy Mike at this concert, and I actually turned to him at some point and said, "There's no way these guys are singing these songs, because if you're at a Milli Vanilli show live, they couldn't speak English at all.
Yeah, they're German, right?
So when they did the talk between songs, which they limited to about twice in the concert, it was literally like this. It was like, "Hello, Ottawa, my name is Rob, and my name is Fab. Girl, you know it's true." Perfect English. But Young MC was my guy. I could do, you know the song "I Come Off"?
No.
Well, I wrote this record for when I perform. Lonely nights inside a university dorm. I put pen to paper, put the paper to pen. For all the times I'm rocking a microphone for women and men. Pretty
Nice.
good, eh?
That's pretty
I
good.
can do that whole song, but I'll save the listeners from that.
No.
See, I actually didn't think he had any other songs besides Bust a Move.
That's the only one I really
Principal's
knew.
office? It's off to the principal's office you go.
You know,
I've heard that line before, but I wouldn't have known it's him.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me just to look at the what's happened to the art form and over the years. Like, I mean, rap was a very, very small thing. Now it's the number one music in the world.
Well, isn't there? What's that song? You know all the words to
Rapper's Delight.
Rapper's Delight.
I didn't want to do that because I've done it too many times on radio. But one of the highlights of my career was James Cebulski when he hosted the show here. He had the Sugar Hill Gang on the show, and he called me at home because that was a song. There's like a 15-minute version of Rapper's Delight, and when I was a loser in grade 7, I had nothing to do. I memorized the entire thing.
We've pointed out you weren't a loser. You were necking with girls.
Well, I wasn't. That's the whole point. That was about the era of the whole Cheryl incident. But he called me, and he had Sugar Hill Gang, and I got to rap like part of that song with the Sugar Hill Gang, which is one of the coolest.
Awesome.
That's one of the coolest
awesome.
things ever. And I need to get a tape of that. It exists out somewhere in Neverland, but I won't do Rapper's Delight. I've done enough rapping for you guys here today. What else? Oh, Alex Trebek. So that made me think about game shows. Do you guys have favorite game shows from either, or bad game shows? Because
I always like Press Your Luck.
I don't remember that one.
That's the whammy one. No whammies, no whammies. Stop.
I can't
Don't remember
that.
Press Your Luck?
Oh man,
no.
That was like a great one.
I'm just trying to think. We're talking strictly Canadian.
No,
or
you can do
okay.
them. Was Press Your Luck Canadian?
It could have been.
You have to. If you look it up on YouTube, I know what it is. I just can't think from the title.
What about did Fergie Oliver host Just Like Mom?
Yes,
I used to watch that when I was younger. I used to watch that.
Don't watch it again.
Well, it's well, I'm not going to say anything. Yeah, you know, whatever.
Okay, so I'd like to do. We kind of already told the necking story today, but every week I wanted to do a little like story time. One story.
It.
I mean, I don't know if we don't have a story time theme.
It's story time.
Yes, beautiful. Wow.
It's story time.
Wish Cheryl was here. I'd get romantic
Tell
again.
us all you want to, James Duthie.
Wow. That's why Lester gets the women.
Yeah,
Any of us could do that.
Closer.
Okay, you don't. It's not an 8 minute.
We're
It's
done,
not an
we're
8 minute
done.
ballad.
Okay.
While you do the song.
So some of these stories are from my book, and I'll probably exhaust them. So people have read my book. I'm sorry, but I was on a game show in university called the New Chain Reaction. We got the theme song for the New Chain Reaction. So when in university, like most guys do, I lived in a place just about 5 minutes from campus, and I was lucky. I was in like a condo because my parents bought it and then they moved to their cottage, so I was in like nice residence for a university guy. And my buddies would all come over to my place after, and we'd watch soap operas or something because that's what we used to do in university,
Exactly,
guys.
that's
It's like Days of Our Lives or something.
Y&R was a big one for me.
And after that, at 3 o'clock, I think on I think the CTV station was the New Chain Reaction, and we watched it because it was so easy, and it was all sort of housewives, and it was the easiest game show. It's basically a word thing where there's a word at the top, word at the bottom, and 6 word spaces in the middle, and it's kind of all double entendres of words. And so you ask for a letter and you try to guess what the word is. They relate to each other. So at one time we realized at the end of the show they put up a Montreal number. It was a 514 area code if you want to apply to be on the New Chain Reaction. So me and my buddy applied. It was pairs at the time. We went down and auditioned, and then they changed the shows from pairs to singles. And some reason they picked me, even though my buddy was like this really good-looking guy with a way better personality.
I heard about the necking story.
Yeah, exactly. So I got to go on the New Chain Reaction. So the day I go down, my parents drive me down. I think 19 or 20, first or second year university. Awesome. And the other thing about the New Chain Reaction, unlike bumper stumpers and definition, there was money you could win decent money. It wasn't $50 in the bonus round.
How much money are you talking?
Okay, so the day I got there, the bonus round was at $9,000. So if you won the bonus round, you got $9,000.
Tax-free?
Tax-free.
That's not bad.
So that's not bad for a Canadian game show. But it was syndicated to the States.
90s.
So if you don't know about game shows, they film about 10 in one day. Like these guys like Pat Sajak and Alex Trebek have the greatest jobs in the world because they work about 6 weeks a year. They film the entire year in about 6 weeks.
Seriously?
Yeah, they film like 10 shows a day. They just
figure they're grinding it out all year.
They just boom, 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 gone. So I'm sitting there, and they do a warm-up round in the beginning. So they put all the contestants, there's about 15 of us down there for the day, and they say, we're going to practice the show. So what I didn't know at the time is they're watching, and they're trying to see who's good, who's bad, and trying to even out the matchups. So I was kicking ass in this practice round. I was nailing word after word, and there was one other girl who was doing the same thing. And but everybody else was useless, completely useless. So I sit there, and the show starts, and they tape about 3 or 4 episodes.
When you get there, though, you're guaranteed to be on?
No, not 100%.
Okay, so you had to try then.
Not 100%. If you don't get on, they'll bring you back next time to be on.
Oh,
but
okay.
I really wanted to be on that day. So they run, I don't know, about 4 episodes in a row. And about the second episode in, this other girl who was good, she gets on and she wins. But she doesn't win the bonus round. Then she wins again, but she doesn't win the bonus round. And she wins again, but she doesn't win the bonus round. And then they pick me. So now it's 13 grand is the pot, which again, 19, 20 years old in whatever year that was, 1988 or something, is a big deal. So I get in there, and I have my dad's clip-on tie on, and I have like my Corey Hart spiked hair. And the very first word of the day on the top of the chain is central. Central. So it's a word related to central, the next word underneath. So I think I go first, and I ask for a letter under central, and it's a P. And I go, okay, central P. And I'm thinking sports, baseball, like the division. So I go Pacific, like Central Pacific makes sense. Not right. She asked for an A. She can't get it. She's confused, which is crazy because she was nailing everything. She, by the way, is the Scrabble champion of North America.
Oh, my God.
That's who you were going up against?
That's who I'm going against.
Oh, that's not fair.
Right. So she doesn't get it. Maybe I got this wrong and she went first. Anyway, it gets to PAR. PAR. And it's my
Central?
It's my turn. Central PAR. It's my turn, and I asked for a letter under Central, and it goes, sorry, James, there's no more letters. It's a 4-letter word under Central. And I don't know, I guess I was so nervous, and I still had like big words in my head, like, so it rattled me that there was no more letters. So I'm like, wait, I got it. I'm like, Jeff Edwards was the host. Central Part. So Jeff Edwards goes, he literally says this. He goes, did you say park? And I said, no, Jeff.
You fool.
I said part. And when the buzzer went, it was next to the moment with necking and the Heather in the schoolyard. Yeah. Probably the other worst moment in my life, because I realized right away Central Park, which I'd already been to 3 times, the largest, most famous park in the world, and I didn't get it. And then I went on to lose in the very last word of the game. But I got hot after that. But anyway, so she went on. She came back to the Tournament of Champions and won the Tournament of Champions and won like $53,000. Wow. And that was the most devastating thing in the world to me. And the worst thing was, it was my first lesson about syndication, because that show ran forever. And so when I got into the business, and I was about 26 or 27 years old working at CJOH, and I remember sitting in my little cubicle working on a story, and some producer got up and said, everybody, turn to channel 13 right now! And it was the show on again.
But was it after you said Central Part?
No, it was the... yeah, that's a good point. But now I wrote the story in my book, so everybody knows how stupid I was. Anyway, what I thought I'd do, since I told the story and you guys made fun of me, was you guys could play really quickly. This is not great for podcasts, better for television. Yeah. But I've completed the next 4 words under Central Park on the chain, and you'll get to play it. Because okay. I'll let Lester and Puffy, Christoph, you can be the game producer of the show. By the way, I want to say that I nailed these next 3 words without any letters.
Without any letters?
Okay, I get the first letter, then I got it. Then I asked for another letter, then I got it.
Wow.
So I rebounded okay. So, park, you can either take... Park is the first word. Okay. Then there's 2 blank words. The last word is release. So you can either take a letter under park or above release. We'll let Puffy go first. Puffy,
I'll go under park.
Okay, under park, and the letter is B. Park, B. Letter, word. Remember, Central was on top. Central Park, and then B. They don't have to all be tied together, though. It could be a,
I have no idea.
All right, Lester?
Okay, I will take a letter under park, please.
Okay, it's an E. So B-E.
I'd like to solve.
Yes.
Park bench.
Park bench is correct.
Thank you.
20 points or something.
He's good.
It's not over yet. We got one more word. So now you know that it's park bench. There's a word between bench and
fairness,
release
both
that relates.
times I've looked at those words.
Relates to the word.
I wanted to say parking and benching. So I don't know if I'm going to do so good at
So I think Lester, because he got it right, he probably gets to go again. So you're going to take a word under bench and above release, and what the letter would be P. Park bench P. And then the letter under P is release.
Park bench. Parking?
No, you don't get park bench parking.
Well, I don't know.
I would like to solve this riddle.
Without even getting the letter?
Yes. You don't even need to put the...
Okay, what is it?
Park bench press.
Press is correct.
Wow.
Ding, 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 ding,
It ends in a tie. So the whole key to chain reaction is the two meanings of the word. Or two different. So you take bench, it's a real bench.
Yeah.
And then it's different on press, and then bench pressing is different than press release. So that was once you figured out the key to the show, you could do entire puzzles.
I would like to continue this podcast under protest. I was not filled in. I did not see the sheet that had that word on it. Therefore, I feel that my ability to
Lester,
solve
just play music, all right?
I could see that being the pressure, though, of the big lights, the TV cameras of Canadian television.
Oh,
Right.
big time.
Anyway, it's time to play the real game show, and that is the only one that matters on this podcast is called Puffy's Hypotheticals. Now, we did a Robert Palmer version of the theme last week, and Puffy was demanding some sort of hip-hop. So Lester, did you come up with a new theme song?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
And
now I need your help on it.
Okay.
I need a little...
Okay, I'm not good at that, but I'll try.
Just... Yeah. 1, 2, 1, 2. Hypothetical, here we go. 4 score, and last week I had a song, but I had to tweak the lyrics on the spot. The show was live, but the co-host wanted a hip-hop bag. So thick neck, paddywhack, and I took it back to the drawing board. Wicked producer, badass. You wouldn't do the 2 takes back. A to the B to the C to the D. The dude knows sports and history. You know Puffy's a force. And now I'm gonna sing the chorus. Puffy's hypotheticals, I'm messing with my mind. Puffy's hypotheticals, what's it gonna be this time? Puffy's hypotheticals, I'm blowing my mind again. Puffy's hypotheticals,
Super long. It took up like 18 minutes.
Well,
We are coming after the New York Times.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
All right, so if you didn't listen to the podcast last week, Puffy's Hypotheticals, this is one thing that Puffy does in real life. He's very good at. He gives us situations we have to make very difficult choices. So here we go, Puffy.
I did have a lot of my good friends saying, you never do this with us. What's wrong?
Yeah, he does it with the panel all the time.
I'm like, come on.
I think I know what the first one is because we said that last week. And by the way, I apologize. I said I would ask Roberto Luongo this question, and I forgot.
We're going to start with this one?
I forgot. Is that the one you want to...
Sure, we can start with it.
Okay.
If you hosted a key party, what 4 celebrity couples would you invite?
Wow.
And everyone knows what a key party is when everyone shows up and keys get thrown in a bowl.
Right. Do they really happen a lot, though?
I've never known anyone who's been to one.
Okay, I used to live in this community, Angus Glen.
There's
which
definitely
was a
key
lot
parties going on.
No, but there was...
That's what happens in the
That was
summer.
the age of young couples and, mothers who'd had a couple of babies and wanted to... And there was times I felt we were on the edge of one, but it never happened. And
all you needed was a bowl, James.
I think I'd run away from that.
I will say this. I believe that there's a significant subculture of...
Right.
of
Have
that
you
type
ever
of
been
thing.
involved, though?
No, sir.
There's not...
No,
you're
sir.
in the musical underbelly of
listen,
stuff.
let me tell you something about me. I'll share this.
You're pretty clean?
This
That's good for key parties.
It's my business is my
You don't
business.
want dirty people there.
I don't... If I was involved in anything like that, I'm out of the country. I'm on another planet even. I don't want anybody knowing.
Right.
my business.
Do you think if we were to do a prediction of who would go to a key party or who would be involved in that sort of sexual subculture of the four of us here, who do you think looks more the part?
Definitely.
Pointing at the producer.
Definitely Christoph feels like he's been very quiet on this subject. He's
quite quiet, but I'm happily married, so
that's what you need to be at a key party. You're bringing your wife.
I don't see a ring. I don't see a ring. You know,
it's only those are the only marriages that can survive them, right?
You cannot show up at a key party as a single.
No.
Well, how would you know that, Puffy?
Does not work.
You've tried.
Come on, man.
Come on, guys. Let me in.
I swear,
okay, so Keith, there was a movie about key parties called The Ice Storm with what's her
Kevin
name?
Kline was in that.
And the girl from Sigourney Weaver, I believe, was in it. And it was a horribly sad movie where the kid got electrocuted, and it was just a terrible movie.
There could be darkness in key parties.
Okay,
yeah.
so but anyway, hypothetically.
These
So
aren't
Tom
really
Tom
happening.
Brady and Giselle, obviously.
Yeah, I
because
think
you have
that's
to think
everyone's
you have to think of your spouse in this type of situation.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah, if I tell my wife that Tom Brady's coming over for a key party, she's quickly on board.
On the same vein, I'd go Ryan Reynolds and
Blake Lively. The thing is, you don't want to have too many really attractive people because they might push you out and you might just be not really participating. Might just be the good looking
At a
people.
key party, do you have a choice, or is it just a random thing?
Well, then you might have some people getting really
it's the
upset.
keys, right? It's a random draw.
Yeah, but if you got Ryan Reynolds, Tom Brady,
right, and then
James Duthie, the one lady's going to be like,
I got stiffed. What's going on here?
Unless it was Cheryl from grade 7 that could come back in grade 10.
She'd be all kinds of fired up. She'd be like, Tom Brady, damn it.
Why did I get Tom Brady?
Wow.
Okay.
I'm sitting here trying to think of a lesbian couple. I can't think
Ellen.
of it.
Ellen
Ellen Portia de Rocha.
Yeah, poor Ellen gets it always.
There. No, but Ellen's funny. She's attractive.
She'd be great with that.
Entertaining.
Yeah. I'd invite Nick, the Bachelor, and
whoever he picks. You're big into The Bachelor. We should get into that on a future show.
But I just think that it would be something for the couples to talk about.
You know, I know there's probably a lot of people listening who hate The Bachelor, but Puffy watches it. I'll admit to watching on occasion. It's a big deal in my house. I thought we'll have Jesse Palmer on one time, who's a buddy of ours who was The Bachelor early, who has told me a lot of Bachelor stories about what really goes on in that show. So maybe we'll do that sometime as a guest.
Yeah, the thing is, I think fans of The Bachelor might not want to know what really goes on behind the scenes.
Well, we're going to tell them anyway, because that's what this
You better put up disclaimers.
How about Bob and Cindy McKenzie?
Well, they'd be a great couple to have there. They would definitely mix it up.
Yeah.
I like working here. I'm just going to say, I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah,
I like working here.
I think Bob would be a great person at a key party. I think he'd be fun.
Well, I'm continually trying to make up for that podcast rivalry we tried to start at the beginning.
This is not working.
It's going to get sourness.
So I don't understand, though. So you can't have too many good-looking people. You know what you got to look for, from a selfish guy perspective?
Yeah.
Those odd couples that where there's a really, really beautiful woman and the guy's average, which is kind of like me and my wife. But
I was going to say.
Remember when Michelle Pfeiffer in her heyday was with Fisher Stevens, no offense, who was...
Well, it's like Billy Bob Thornton and Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
You know,
but a lot of people find Billy Bob attractive, though.
Really?
Listen, a lot of women. Whoa.
You see, I would say like Angie and Brad before they broke up. Like I would give that one to my. You'd have to think about your spouse. For my spouse, it would be she'd want Brad Pitt. But Angelina Jolie would scare me. Like I would be terrified if that key was picked and she gave me that stare.
No,
that would terrify me.
No.
You down with that?
Yes.
Yeah, but look at you. You're a good-looking, confident musician.
Well,
it's
I do what I can. You know what I mean? But I'm not bringing my guitar. You know what I mean? Like
I don't know. And Matt Damon would be the other one my wife would want. But then he's got that like unknown. Who knows who Matt Damon's wife is? It's some.
I don't know her name, but she's lovely. Yeah.
Nice, lovely girl.
I would say,
Puffy, did you never? Sorry, you have answers for
I was
this?
going to say another one too, and I would regret it because I don't like him, but Kanye and Kim.
No way. I would not.
I'd be scared for both of us in that situation.
Why? You're not going to get hurt. No. You guys worry about getting hurt? Not by Kanye. I'm talking Kim here.
I'd be worried about if my spouse was Kanye. God knows what would happen.
Oh, that's true. I'm not thinking about the other side.
Puffy, you never gave any more answers, did you?
Well, mine was Tom Brady, Nick the Bachelor, and then I would think I'd go Adele. Adele and her.
Really? Adele's beautiful.
Yeah, I think she'd be fun to have at the party.
Amy Schumer would be great too.
You know what?
She's funny. She'd be funny as hell at the party. She's a very attractive.
I think she's
woman.
attractive. I do.
Yeah.
I do think she's attractive.
We got to have some plus size women at the party. And she's beautiful.
Yes, she is.
That's not offensive.
Jesus.
No, not at all.
That's not offensive.
In fact, that's probably a good sponsor for us. Some type of plus size women's.
I think we might have. Yeah, we're gonna
for sure.
We'll be good. Yeah,
that's good. Listen, no one. That's fine. This is a safe place, as you said. Here.
Yes.
Let's say what we can.
Thank you.
Fine.
No, she's beautiful.
Yes.
Christoph? Did you have any extras you wanted to add?
I could go Kate Upton.
Okay,
that's a good one.
Justin
Kate Upton,
Verlander.
Justin Verlander.
Sure. Okay. Puffy, next one quickly. We were running out of time. Well, there's no time on the podcast, but we have an interview with Jared Keeso we got to get to quickly. Okay.
Have you ever seen the movie The Purge?
Yes.
Seen it?
Yes.
I haven't. But
so if The Purge was a real thing, which is now a possibility,
distinct
state in the U.S., how would you take part? Would you spend your money on security, or would you load up on weapons and get purging?
Oh, right. Okay, so just so I know, basically murder and whatever's
it's
illegal
for 24 hours.
Okay,
yes.
You can do whatever you want.
Yes.
Lester?
I think I would load up on security. I really would.
Christoph?
I want to say that I would purge, but realistically, I'd be hiding under my bed. So
I know 100% Puffy's answer to this question.
I would be purging. Because I figured I'm not going to have enough money to have top-of-the-line security. So if someone really wants to get me, they're going to be able to. So I figure if I'm out there purging with the rest of the people, they'll think I'm nuts and they'll stay clear of me.
My compound is already secure enough for a purge.
I'm sure it is.
Wow. Wow.
I have been planning for this day.
But how scary would it be
and the militia.
if you looked out the window and you saw people coming with the masks?
Yeah. I know some people in this building who would be coming to my place on Purge night.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so that is Puffy's Hypotheticals, and we've gone on for a long time. Jared Keeso is up next from Letterkenny. Thanks for listening to episode 2 of the podcast. Give us your feedback. TSN James Duthie, TSN Our Boy Puff, Lester McLean, at Lester McLean.
At
right?
Lester McLean, yes.
At Made by Stoff, STOFF. We'll try to get our own Twitter account. We should probably have our own Twitter account for
Yeah, that's a good idea.
All right, play us out, Lester.
What you got on the sketty? It's Jared Keeso from Letterkenny. Is he gonna curse? Is he gonna chirp? If he drops the gloves, who's he gonna work? He's bringing the pain as Wayne, and now you know his name. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Listen to the feature interview, and I'm out.
Are you wearing your rubber boots tonight?
You know, I gotta say, I'm looking forward to a little bit of peace and quiet around here.
This kid is a stud. Kid's a beauty.
Wish you weren't so awkward, bud.
Mixing some big minutes for a couple of stick imposters.
It's a Texas size 10-4.
Forecheck, fact check, paycheck, bro.
Who the is the toughest guy in here? That'd be me.
That would be him. Wayne, Jared Keeso, star, creator, writer for Letterkenny, who joins us on the line directly from the set, Jared.
Yeah, I'm judging by all the beeps there. I shouldn't swear that. Is that
no, you can swear all you want. We just beep it out afterward. It's a freaking podcast. You're not on radio. Great. You're not on. Don't worry about the whole Bell Media thing. Just say whatever the hell you want.
Terrific. Yeah, we are coming from set today, though. It's day one. Morning one. We've had everything thrown at us here. We got what we signed up for. Weather-wise, I think it rained, it freezing rained, and it snowed. So
you're in what, Sudbury?
Sudbury, Ontario, yeah.
Wow. And why, this is the first time Letterkenny's been a summer show as far as the background and the set and everything, so why winter?
Well, this year Bell gave us an 18-episode order, so to squeeze in 18 in 2017, we had to get started pretty much right away. But, the winter is something that just had to be shown on our show. You've got the sled culture, the snowmobile jackets, and the ice fishing, everything that Canada has to offer and Hicks like to do here. We had to put that on display.
So it is going to be hell, though, probably for you, because knowing Northern Ontario, Canadian winters, and the amount that you guys shoot outside, this will be fun.
Yeah, we're definitely not fooling around. We know we signed up for in the first week in the tech scare. I think we had days up to -25, -26. So we've got a very, very tight winter coat game on our cast.
So listen, I want this podcast to not be your typical interview, the stuff you have to do when before a season, when you have to go out and do everybody. So if I ask lame questions, I want to give you a safe word where you can just shut me up. So you can I mean, it can just be hard no from the show or any, Hoover Schniff, whatever you want. If I ask you a lame question to tell me to get lost, that's the way you answer it, okay?
Done and done.
I don't want you to be bored. What is going to be your safe word, just so I know?
Let's go with Patagonia.
Patagonia? Okay.
Yes, that's the quote they've got me in right now. Plucking the low-hanging fruit, but it was right in front of me. So.
All right, that's fine. You and I met, I don't know if we met particularly, but I saw you at one of those Geminis or Canada Screen Awards, right, a couple of years ago?
Yep, that was it. Back in, I think that was 2011. But I told you this over text. I'll tell you again. I had to physically restrain my dad from going over to talk to you. Rick Mercer wasn't so lucky that year, but we've been watching you guys for years, and I have a ton of respect for what you do. And yeah, we get the chance to meet you. We'll get a handshake in if we can.
Yeah, that freaks me out though, because then is that when you were nominated for the Don Cherry stuff, by the way?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, which was awesome. We'll get into that a little bit later on. But that always freaks me out in this job, and I don't know if you feel the same way in whatever. I mean, you've been doing this a long time in whatever movie or show you're in, but it's always weird to me. I guess I live a very sheltered life, so I never really think that people are actually watching. Or I guess maybe when you go out, maybe if you're at a restaurant or a game, people recognize you. But when famous people or other people in the business come up and say that they watch you, it always freaks me out. I had a run-in with Gord Downey once, which... I like you probably just grew up worshiping the hip, and I was at some movie thing that his brother had produced, and he came up to me afterwards and tapped me on the shoulder and say, "Hey, I watch you all the time." And that was one of the freakiest moments of my life, because here's a guy I grew up basically worshiping, and to realize, oh yeah, he's home on the couch watching hockey is very strange to me.
Yeah, I'd have a hard time wrapping my head around that too. If Gord Downey tapped me on the shoulder and said he liked it, he liked anything that I did. But like going back through the Olympic broadcasts and the World Junior broadcasts, it's the reason that we extended our cable package as kids. One of the most exciting Christmases in our household, we were kids, and all of a sudden, we've got TSN on the cable package, and we can watch the World Juniors. But what you guys do on the panel, the game is just so tight. One thing that I notice is there's never any ums and ahs. You just set those guys up, they knock them down, come back to you, and it's just so easy to follow. So,
well, I got the easy part. I just sit there and say, "Hey, Bob, what do you think?" And then Bob just goes, right? So I have the easiest job in the world. But thank you. So hockey was a massive part of your life growing up, right?
Yeah, huge. My brother and I played 4 seasons a year. My sister won in all Ontario on a team that my dad coached, and we were sleeping and breathing hockey around my house. So, and I still do. I'm in 3 hockey pools. I play on 2 beer league teams in Montreal, and one thing I like to throw out is that when we started Letterkenny Problems, all I had to really do was just look across the room, because Playfair was on my beer league team, Hersey was on my beer league team, and so was Dalesy. So we cast it, and 2 more guys from that team, Tyler Johnson and Jamie Lapointe, joined the cast here in Sudbury as well. So it's all because of hockey.
That's amazing. And it's a delicate way to handle an interview like this, because I think a lot of people listening are going to be, like I am, big fans of the show who've probably seen every episode 3 times. And then there's probably going to be some people listening who haven't seen the show or have just seen the commercials maybe and are yet to get into the show. So the guys you were mentioning, Dylan Playfair and Andrew Herr, are the hockey guys who are hilarious, by the way. And so they were on your beer league team?
Yeah. We had a roster that was pretty much all actors and musicians.
Right.
And of course, the roster was about 18 to 20 guys deep. We'd maybe get 10 or 11 per game, because everybody's got their bar job on the side, or somebody got an acting job, or somebody, someone's band was playing a show. So it was a bit of a dance that way. But the Trappers that played at a UBC in the UBC Men's League there, or Beer League rather, we just had a blast. We reminisce on those days a whole lot. We won it all twice. We won 2 shifts.
Nice. Well, you were a player. I was creeping you big time this weekend getting ready for this, and there are actually some clips of you on YouTube scoring a couple of nice goals. You were a forward, right?
Yeah, I was a forward, and it's nice because both of my goals are on YouTube. I wasn't. It's so cool that they got both of them up there, But yeah, I played junior B in Listowel, Ontario, which is my hometown, and then in Strathroy for Pat Stapleton, is a 72 Summit Series hero and warrior, and just learned a ton from those guys. My brother played with me in those two towns as well.
Wow. Were you a scrapper? Because Wayne, your character, looks like he would have been a scrapper.
Do you want to get striked?
Well, I'll be the first to tell you, when I was playing Junior B, I did not win one fight. I got my butt kicked up and down the Midwestern Junior B loop and then the Western Junior B loop. But there were maybe 5 or 6 in my Junior B days, and I remember coming down the stairs one morning in Strathroy. My billet mom, Nancy LaRocque, looked at my face and said, "You don't have to go to school today." So always a silver lining. But later on, when I went to play Junior C in Kincardine, Ontario, by that point you're 18, 19, you're just so bored of the game after playing so much. So I got in one fight and I did well. I realized it wouldn't kill me, and then I just started doing it a bunch after that. But it's what was never because I was tough or particularly good at it. It was just kind of something to do that on the ice that was a little bit out of the ordinary, a little more exciting.
We all have a moment when our childhood dream of being the professional athlete dies. For me, I believe it or not, if you look at my frame, football was my sport, and the only school I got recruited to was McGill.
You ready, champ? I've been ready for this my whole life.
So I was going to go play football at McGill, and in my mind, I still thought I was going to play in the CFL. I wasn't stupid enough to think I could play in the NFL, but I was a 5'10", 155 defensive back with average speed who thought he was going to play pro. And I walked into the McGill. The coach took me a tour around and into the weight room where the guys were lifting, and they were all 6'3" and 250, and I said, I can't even get on the field with these guys. And so I went to Carleton and took journalism. Did you have a moment in your hockey career where you realized, okay, I'm probably going to have to do something else?
Well, James, I hear you say that, and I can tell you that my experience was the exact same thing. Like when you play hockey so seriously and so much coming up, like the goal is always to get a scholarship or to go pro or to get drafted to the OHL, and you have your blinders on to that. And even, creeping up on 19 years old, I still thought, I might have a shot in playing in Europe or something like that. But it was my dad who sat me down and we just kind of went over the facts that the guys who move on are the guys who are the goal scorers and the playmakers and stuff, and you've got to have a somewhat significant offensive flair to your game, even if you're going to be a mucker or a corner guy, and I never really had that. So you're kind of forced to think, well, what the hell am I going to do now? And you have no idea. It took me about a year to just kind of put the pieces together and realize, drama was really the only other thing that I had good marks in and that I enjoyed doing. But you grow up in Listowel, Ontario, a small town, and we had a theater in town run by Stephanie and Justin Webster, and I did some plays there and stuff, but that's all there really is. You see guys in movies and you don't know how they get there, and it seems like the only option is theater. So when I quit school, I decided that I wanted to be in film, but maybe I'd go live at home with mom and dad for a little while, and they said, no, you don't do that. If this is what you want to do, and if you're going to quit school for it, then you got to move to a city you can do it in. So
when you say Vancouver. Quit school, quit high school, or did you go to college or university?
I put in a solid 3 weeks at the University of Waterloo before I knew it wasn't going to happen. And I'd been taking some classes off campus, and a guy told me that the best advice that I was ever given as an actor, and the best advice I would ever give a young actor is pack your bags. If you're Canadian, you got to do it in Toronto or Vancouver. That's the reality of the situation.
Before I leave hockey, did you play against or with anybody who made it?
Oh, yeah. I played with Jeff Carter in Strathroy.
Carter speeds in to the circle, a shot, score! And again, Jeff Carter speeding out of his zone on right wing.
The first year, and he went first overall, I think, to the Sioux Greyhounds in the OHL that year.
Could you tell, like, from the moment you got on the ice with him that's where he was going?
Absolutely. And Strathroy had traded, they had one of the best goalies in the league, and they traded for Carts from London, and he came in and is very, very similar to the way he plays now. It's just that super, super long stride and that really long stick and how fast he can get off his shot. So you definitely knew then. He was filling the net. He must have had 40 goals that year.
Is he still a buddy?
No, we've fallen out of touch there, and I don't think I'm not really in touch with anybody that I grew up against that's playing in the NHL now. But Dennis Weidman was another one, and Ryan Jones played for Edmonton for a little while there, and so dudes like that.
And Dylan Playfair and Andrew Herr, they both played at a decent high level as well, correct? The hockey boys, for the people who haven't seen the show.
You're a beauty. Registered beautician.
Yep, Playfair and Hersey both played Junior B, but Hersey was in Ontario, and DP played in the BCHL for a little while, which is the best junior league in the country. I think everybody can agree. Below major junior.
Right. Now, Dylan is Jimmy Playfair's kid. Has Jimmy ever come to the set yet?
No, Jim's not been to the set, but, all the boys text with Jim regularly. Every single one of us, he'll reach out to seen something that he likes on the show, or he'll have an idea to bounce off us. So all of us talk to Jimmy quite a bit. We're all in really close touch with him, as much as we are with Dylan, to be perfectly honest. So.
Well, one of the characters, I love the coach character who has really grown on me, which is Mark Forward. Is that his name, the actor?
That's him.
He yells and screams just ridiculously for those who haven't seen the show.
Get in shape, study the tape, play with some intensity.
There's a couple of moments Jimmy appears on the TSN top 10 list for moments he's had in his history. So
we know the one.
That's the best one ever.
Yeah.
Anytime it's tarps off on the bench somehow and sticks broken, it's that's a moment for a coach. So I don't really want to go over. I'm sure you've done it in 18 million interviews, and you're going to give me the Patagonia line to go over the history of this thing. But just quickly for the listeners, this is probably I think Letterkenny is one of the only good things that's ever come out of Twitter, because that's where it started, right? You started a Twitter account with your buddy just to make, not make fun, but throw out some stuff from say it again, right? I got to say it, Listowel. How do I say it right?
That's it, Listowel.
Listowel.
Listowel, Ontario.
Right, and the Twitter account leads to some YouTube videos, and that somehow leads to a show, correct?
Yeah, that was it. I started it with my best pal back home, Jordan Behrens, who played 3 years for the Oshawa Generals later on. But we started that up when he was playing for UBC, and I was out in Vancouver, and you're just kind of shining the spotlight on things that cracked us up about our small town. We called it Listy Problems. We did it anonymously, though. So if we wanted to take this into something different, rebrand it as Letterkenny Problems, which we did, we'd have to blow our cover. So everybody back home in the town that our parents lived in would know that we were the ones, taking these shots, which of course, we're not actually taking shots, not teeing off on anybody, but it worked out. We transferred to the YouTube format, rebranded Letterkenny Problems, brought Dalesy on, and it took off pretty quick for us, and nothing really does in the acting business, so we were fortunate there.
Well, I think the first time that I sort of saw this type of stuff, and Dylan Playfair and the others, were your pro hockey media relations videos.
Mike, this is off topic, I know, but you once worked as a stripper in the minors, but quit once you fell off the stage and suffered a concussion. What's the story there?
Well, it's like I said, obviously you don't want to be the guy with the $1 million legs, 2-cent brains out there, but head trauma is something we take very seriously in this room. So, for now we get our guys 100%, we regroup, we get pucks deep, get pucks to the net, and win some hockey games.
Johnny, shifting gears here, you care to comment on the naked selfie you posted on social media but quickly deleted?
Well, it's like I said. Can't be a one-man show out there. You got to have all the boys involved.
So just so you know how it works at TSN, on a typical day, I'll come into work, and Puffy, who's on the podcast, he's kind of my guy to tell me what's going on in the world, because I'm getting old and have lost track of everything. So if there's a funny video somewhere, he'll show me. So we come in one day, Bob and I, and Puffy says, you got to see this thing. And he shows us a couple of those. And we just laughed so hysterically, because they're funny as hell, but there's also just so much truth in them, especially the get pucks deep crap, which you say over and over again in those things. and that really launched it in many ways, right?
Yeah, it's like the bit there is that, we're kind of at the point now where in these interviews, 90% of the time, no matter what you throw at them, the same things are going to come out of their mouths. So that's what we're kind of playing on there. We just found a way to turn it into some perverted question that they could still answer with the same stock answers, like head trauma, get pucks deep, get pucks to net, win some hockey games, So yeah, and we have a ton of fun with those. We'd like to do another one pretty quick here, but it's something that's a real niche audience, but it seems like that niche audience is really connecting with it. So that's enough reason for us to keep it going.
Here's one more that I like.
Mike Rumor has he once dressed as Superman in an assless latex costume and attended an all-male sex dungeon orgy. Care to comment on that?
Well, it's like I said, obviously you got to have your role players playing the roles out there, but some nights you need a hero. Everybody likes to be the hero. It's the stuff you dream about as a kid. So, for now we get back to basics. We keep it simple in here. We get pucks deep, get pucks to the net, and
Johnny, you're the spokesman for hemorrhoid cream and are rumored to enjoy butt play. Comments?
Well, it's like I said. Got to be willing to go to the dirty areas, but it stinks tonight.
It's so funny that you did those, because I think right around the time you were doing those is we were having high-level meetings saying we should not run those interviews in-game anymore. The post-game things are another thing, but the in-game interviews are equally as bad. And we'll drop them now as much as we can on the broadcast, but you end up still running them. If it's a star player, you have to run it. But it's a 1 out of 20 that you get a player that doesn't spew crap like that.
Yeah, well, it's definitely something that I noticed. But the odd time, it was happening long before we made the videos, but the odd time after we made the videos, a couple times we'll hear an interview from a hockey player. One time it was Michael Ferland of the Flames, which was rad for me because I'm a Flames fan. But it was those exact words, the exact same cadence as get pucks deep, get pucks to the net, and win some hockey games. It was the exact same thing. So the odd time we'll get those forwarded to me from some buddies, and we like to lay claim to it in some weird way.
I tell you what I'm going to do I'm going to start tracking them, and anytime one of the guys says get pucks deep on our interviews, I'll come out and make a Letterkenny reference for you guys, all right?
Hey, we'll take that any day of the week.
So the show, here's the I think the greatest compliment that I can give you is that in my life of watching television, there's only been a handful of times where a show has almost disoriented me in the sense that it's something I had never seen before. Police Squad, you might be too young for that, was a show out of the Naked, I don't know if it was before or after the Naked Gun movies with Leslie Nielsen. It was just an absolutely ridiculously stupid making fun of cop shows. Twin Peaks, the David Lynch show, which I think is coming back, which was just so David Lynch and bizarre and crazy. It's just those shows where you sit there and you go, what the f*** am I watching? And your show was like that to me. And I say that in the best way possible, that this idea of you sitting at the produce stand and having a 3-minute scene where all you're doing is saying different terms for banging.
Yeah, that's I may have to Patagonia there though, because that's a lot for me to wrap my head around. I say this again, but when you hear that sort of praise and that sort of comparison, or those sort of comparisons rather, from someone you respect and admire so much, I really appreciate you saying that. And I'll start with that. But we break a lot of rules on Letterkenny. You're supposed to keep it moving from scene to scene, and it's not traditional that you'll just have 3-4 actors sitting on their butt for 4 pages and gabbing back and forth. But the beauty of our show is in the dialogue.
What do you think they check for bugs down there at the cone shop? No, they just throw the ice cream on there. Have a good one.
What do you do with the bottles with the ice cream cones?
Well, you throw it on the ground, Dan. You let the bugs eat it. It's a circle of life. Didn't you never see The Lion King?
It moves so fast you can't really have the actors doing too much physically, or else it's going to distract from the dialogue, and that's what we want to drill into people's heads.
Right. I think I went in the episode where you go on the 3 dates in season 1. That scene that I was referring to, I guess you get lucky in the last date, although they don't show that, and then you come out and there's basically the 4 of you just say words for sex, and I timed it. It was like 2 minutes and 40 seconds, and it ends with you all making like what the sounds a woman makes while they make love, basically. Yeah. And I had to go back and actually, I said, that's 2 minutes and 40 seconds of nothing happening in a scene. No plot development, no progress, no character development, really, just terms for banging.
That's it. Yeah, and when you say character development, the first thing I think is that, I write the show with Jacob Tierney. He also directs the show and plays Glenn. We haven't put a second of focus into character development, long-term story arc or anything like that. The words are on the page with even very little stage direction. So everything that's accomplished there, the actor's story arc or seasonal arc and stuff, that's all the actor's decisions. They just take the words, interpret them, and somehow carve out some sort of arc. So it's all on them. We just hired the people who make us look good there.
You can say Patagonia on this if you want, but as a guy who's in television, the thing that I was most curious about, in those scenes where it's so rapid fire, whether it's the two hockey guys or you guys doing that, is there a prompter? Are there cue cards? Even the bits that always open the show with you standing in the middle of a field, it's so rapid fire, the dialogue. I ask myself, how the hell does he do that?
No Patagonia there. I'm happy to answer that question because on Twitter we get that a lot. But in the rapid fire scenes that go on 4, 5, 6, tomorrow we have a 7-page scene. There's no cue cards. The actors are prepared. Everybody comes to set. Everybody's focused, and most importantly, no one gets too banged up the night before, which is an easy thing to do in Sudbury and when you're around certain members of our cast. But the only time we had something to look down on was when Dalesy and I did the cold open for season 2, where we do this kind of like alliteration alphabet aerobics thing.
Attention. An amateur MMA asked you to engage in aggressive altercation. Bullshit. Bopped you so bad in the bean you were beyond ass backwards. No blood, albeit bloody brutal. Clunk. Clocked your carriage, clipped your canopy, caught your conscience with a carefully concocted combat of cuffing. Ding.
And it's nice because they're so tight on my face. I've got the lines right below me, and all I have to do is tilt my head down, read it over, quickly memorize the one, and then put my head back up and deliver it. So that's the only one we cheat on.
Same one like with the hockey guys? They won't have cards or anything? They memorize that entire thing?
Every single time, time, all the time. And they were the very first scene of our very first day. It was a 4.5 pager that Playfair and Hersey had, and they came and in the very first take they did it with 0 hiccups. So yeah, a lot of pros on this cast.
Yeah, that is something. So 18 episodes, though. How do you, it's one thing, 6 episodes doesn't sound daunting. 18 episodes, when you say you don't worry too much about plot and the arc of a plot over a season and character development, it's hard to fill 18 episodes with just doing that. So have you got, you had a little cliffhanger at the end of season 2. Do we get more into the plots in these next 18 episodes?
Well, no. We just hire people to help us who have more ideas because our well's starting to get a little bit dry. But this year, Jacob and I wrote 5, and then we had Jonathan Torrens of Trailer Park Boys fame, plays J-Rock, and has been a big supporter of the show. He wrote 1, and he'll write 2 or 3 in the next 6, and I imagine the same in the next 6. But he wrote a really, really cool episode this year because he's bilingual. He wrote an episode where the Arhicks, they go fishing on the Quebec border and they meet their French doppelgangers, who we call les Hicks.
That'll be outstanding.
Yeah, we're really excited about that episode. We like to include all of Canada's tribes. We'll have the French. I'm sure we'll have Islanders in there, Newfies, and maybe Fort Mac dudes, and we want to include everybody there.
The other thing I really like is the little satires you do. The fart book episode, which was a little satire on social media. And the reality TV one, I can't remember what it was called, where you were giving away $5,000 and it played off The Bachelor and Dragon's Den and every single one. So there is more to just dick jokes and stuff on this show.
Certainly, yeah. We like to, we as much as we like to just pick one topic and just really tee off on it, really nail it. Sometimes we get into a little higher concept episodes like Fart Book and like the one that was just a big Dragon's Den spoof or a reality show spoof. But those I think will serve us well. If there's ever any sort of controversy on a show like The Bachelor, or it's riddled with controversy on purpose. But any of these shows, because we like to think that in that episode, which is season 2, episode 5, we really exposed a lot of things that like people might have in the backs of their minds about these shows, their opinions about these shows. And so, yeah, there's a ton of room for humor in exploring those.
When you're sitting down with Jacob or Jonathan writing, and you're writing these 4.5, 5-page scenes you talk about where it's just back and forth with terms, is it stuff that you guys have actually heard? Like, how much of these things have you actually heard along the way, and how much do you just make up?
Well, it's a 50-50 there. When we delegated to Torrens this year, and also say we never sit down to write together. We're always in different rooms. We wouldn't get anything done if we were in the same room. We tried it and it didn't work. We put on the roast of James Franco, I think it was. So, what we said to Torrens was we really like lists. So give us lots of lists. If somebody says, if somebody's got to have a number 2, don't be afraid of 1.5, 2 pages of just different words for going number 2. And Torrens could give us 4.5, 5, and then he delivers the script and we figure out which ones are the strongest and stuff. So yeah, that's basically my job is judging who's got the best words for taking a number 2.
Right.
That's it.
I tried to rewatch some of the shows and write stuff down on the weekend, and I was too lazy to write stuff down. But I remember there was one exchange about basically names for Dick, and there was Horn and Custard Slinger, Ground Squirrel, Floppy Disk.
Yeah.
And I had not heard. I'd heard Ground Squirrel, I think, somewhere along the way. I'd not heard Custard Slinger. But you take the best ones and you run with them. But Pitter Patter, Let's Get At Her was one that I picked up from. He was the captain of my junior B team in Strathroy. He used to say that, when we're heading out the room, Pitter Patter, boys. So that one stuck. And then Texas Size 10-4, I heard from my good buddy Dave Westra, who I grew up with. Back home, you got a lot of dudes' dads will be in milk trucks and trucking something. So you hear that CB radio talk, and I think that it's as funny as what kids on skates are saying these days. So we try to use as much as possible. Well, the funny thing is, just from being around junior hockey players, even my kid who still plays, they do talk like that. Like like Riley and Jonesy, guys actually talk like that now. I had heard some junior kid the other day talking about getting traded to London. Like nobody can even say a word like London anymore.
Yeah.
So it's so real. I mean, it's obviously exaggeration for the purpose of television, but it's truer, I think, almost than you might think.
Well, I think that there was one instance, or there's one time of year where that hockey talk is the richest, and it's this time of year when teams, junior teams, Bantam House League teams, novice rep teams are getting put out of playoffs, and hockey and brotherhood have really just become, it's just right at the forefront, like the romanticism of all of this, and I follow a lot of these young guys on Twitter, and the way they talk about their teams getting eliminated from playoffs is as if someone's gone to war and people have died, and so it's this time of year, keep an eye on Twitter, when teams are getting put out of playoffs. There's always a lot of funny stuff that these kids are saying about the brotherhood and stuff like that. I get a kick out of it anyway, so.
Now, I know you're literally on your lunch hour on the first day of shooting for season 3, so you got to go in a couple of minutes. I promised people, though, I asked a bunch of questions, asked if people had questions on Twitter. So let's do this kind of rapid fire, and if you can try and answer these.
Rapid fire.
Megs and Bacon asked, if acting and writing didn't work out, what would you be doing career-wise?
I would have liked to be a butcher, I think.
Really?
Yeah,
Just pure love of meat.
Yeah, meat and seafood. You know, I love to cook that stuff. I love to eat that stuff. And yeah, if I were to really think about it, I think that's the path I'd like to go down.
And really, the way you prefer to cook a steak, Wayne prefers to cook a steak, ended up getting Wayne laid in season 2, did it not?
Hey, right, what you know, right?
Buff Malley says, "Are you going to do Godzilla 2?"
Well, if they give me a call, absolutely, but I think it's already in production. They've got the cast locked up, so I'll say hard no.
Forgive me for that, but were you one of the military guys in that?
Yeah, but I didn't have a name or anything. I like a character name. It was just Jump Master. I got to talk a lot, but mainly I was just hanging around.
All right. At Stooley, can we get a Letterkenny movie at some point?
Yes, you can get a Letterkenny movie. We've had a lot of talk about that with my partners, and if we can get the funding for it, we'd love to do that.
I wanted to ask you quickly, the Don Cherry films, which I think you did a fantastic job in. Was that the greatest single challenge, though, acting of your career? Because he's just, whenever you try to do a guy who is just so well known and is still on TV, it's not like you're doing someone from 50 years ago or 20 years ago. People still watch him every Saturday night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was definitely the most difficult thing that I've ever done, but ultimately the most rewarding thing. When we got into the second part, when we're recreating, line for line, shot for shot, iconic episodes of Coach's Corner, you're either there or you're not. You can't be kind of like him. You are either nailing it or you're nowhere close. And so I had to get a breathing coach for that, a dialect coach for that and everything to learn how to talk like Don. But to this date, I've never been more proud of anything than the recreating of those Coach's Corners with Jonathan Watton, who was Ron.
You did a fantastic job, and I say it when I love the show. I know you're on another show. Is it did you say 19-2?
It's just 19-2. Yeah, we've got our final season coming out pretty soon here, I imagine late spring. But yeah, we had a blast in Montreal, made some of my best friends there, and I'm sad to see it go, but pumped for what's next.
I didn't want to be one of those guys who, when I used to do book tours and stuff, I always hated it or you could always tell when the interviewer had not read the book and they just read like the back of the book or they read the book. And so I was trying to look up episodes in 19-2 this weekend, and I'm useless technically, and I kept getting the French version of it. So I watched a few scenes on YouTube, but I've not seen an episode of that, but I'll check it out. It's your gritty cop drama, correct?
Yeah, that's it. I'd say Patagonia gritty cop drama though, because it's really weird that it's impossible to say that you're doing something different with a cop drama, because they've really come land, sea, and air at those, right? They've really done everything. But I can sincerely say we're doing something different, with that cop show. It's but of course, yeah, every single newspaper reviewer will say the exact same thing, gritty cop drama.
Yeah, sorry about that. I won't use that again. Offbeat cop drama, how's that?
I had to get one Patagonia and one sincere Patagonia.
You did.
Yeah.
Anyway, best of luck. I hope the weather cooperates on the show. I'll be looking forward to season 3 and all 18 episodes, and we'll see you down the road, hopefully.
Yes, so James, thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Okay, Jared Keeso, Wayne, and the creator and writer from Letterkenny.
Are you wearing your rubber boots tonight?
This is JD's podcast. JD's Rubber Boots podcast. He's gonna sit and relax and tell you all sorts of stories.